As we discussed in the last lesson, leather is generally measured in square feet. That's great, but how do you know how much leather to purchase for your project? Now this is where the numbers come into play. If you haven't already, grab your cheat sheet and follow along. We're going to do an example. Step 1. Calculate the square feet needed for your project. Now I can't tell you exactly what this number is because each project is unique. Let's say you decided that you need a piece 18 inches by 25 inches. First, you'll convert that to feet by dividing each by 12. That gives you 1.5 feet by 2.08 feet. Then, multiply the measurements in feet to give you total square feet. That's 1.5 times 2.08 feet equals 3.12 square feet. Always round up. This gives you 4 square feet needed for this project, not including waste. Now, take this number and move on to step 2. Here in step 2, we'll calculate the amount of leather to purchase. Yes, the amount of leather you need for your project and the amount of leather you should actually purchase will be different. Why? Well, leather has imperfections, holes, scars, stuff like that you may not want or may not be able to use. So we need to include a waste factor to account for the portions of leather we might not be able to use. A common waste factor, or what I like to call an oops allowance, is between 20 and 25%. Now, if you're the rebel type, you can drop that down to 20%, but I like to use 25% just in case. Because there are few things more frustrating than beginning an important project only to find that you're just a tad bit short on leather. Like seriously, it's so annoying. Trust me, this is another thing I've learned the hard way. To account for the waste factor, we take the amount of leather we need for the project, which we calculated in step 1, and multiply it by 1.25. If you want to drop down to a 20% waste factor, you'd multiply by 1.20. But we're sticking with 1.25 for our examples. So we take the 4 square feet from step 1 and multiply by 1.25, which gives us 5 square feet. And that's it. For the project in this example, we'd want to purchase 5 square feet of leather, and this number includes a 25% waste allowance. Hey Megan, what if my project requires multiple pieces of leather? How the heck do I figure that out? Good question. First, figure out the size of each piece for your project, probably in inches. Add all of those pieces together to get a general single number to cover the total of all the pieces. Then, take that number and work through steps 1 and 2, just as we did. Once you get going, if you find yourself making the same item multiple times, you likely won't need to go through this process each time. You'll get familiar with your leather needs and you'll just know. However, when you design something new for the first time, I always recommend working through the numbers. It will help you focus on what you actually need and save you a ton of headaches in the long run. Don't shortcut this process when you're first starting out. But Megan, what if I'm working with a pattern that was originally intended for fabric? Well, most fabric patterns call for a certain number of yards. Use the examples on your cheat sheet as guidelines to convert the yards into square feet. We won't go through all of them because the process is the same, but let's just walk through the first one together. If the pattern calls for 3 yards of 36-inch fabric, your calculation would be 3 times 12 square feet, which equals 36 square feet. And that's 36 square feet of leather to purchase. The conversions there already take into account 25% waste factor, so keep that in mind. If you have a pattern that calls for a 50-inch or 56-inch fabric, you would use the same process with the appropriate conversion factor as shown on the cheat sheet. Now for the fun part. You get to work your numbers. Follow the same process we did in this lesson to calculate the amount of leather you'll need to purchase for your specific project. Remember, I can't give you the numbers because everyone's will be different based on what you want to make. Use number 4 in your cheat sheet and the process you've learned to work through today. Most of you won't need to fuss with the fabric conversion part. I just included that in the event that you have a fabric-based pattern. If you don't, just focus on step 1 and 2 of number 4 on the cheat sheet. That should give you the numbers you need. And as always, any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below this video. You're doing great! Get started on that leather work, and I'll see you next time.